Well, look, a really technical qualifying in Bahrain. Getting the tyres into the right window was super, super, super important. And small changes in pressures overnight and temperatures as well meant that we had a really tight qualifying. Thank God. Now, if you've been following the channel for a while, like the Thursday preview show, you would have known two key callouts that came true. Number one, pressure on Lando Norris going into this weekend. I've been saying Oscar is there every single race weekend this year. He's been there. There's been additional pressure from Max Verstappen, which we're going to talk to as well. And this is Oscar's big chance, guys. So I'm going to talk to you guys about the start and what needs to be done. We're going to talk about China. Remember China? I don't think Oscar fully got to the inside as quickly as he needed to. So I'm going to talk to that in this video as well. The other thing I wanted to call out was Mercedes obviously really strong. This track highlighting traction and top speed, both of which are strengths of the Mercedes. And then you see both of those, they look like the best car out there in Q3 as well. So look, if you're interested in the full qualifying analysis, definitely keep watching. Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Martin. I'm a specialist technical coach and mentor for open Formula drivers. Please do bear with me. It's 1:57 a.m. here in Perth, and I'm doing my best to film this to you guys. The least I ask for is that you comment the video as we go through. Okay, so let's talk about FP3. So it was back to low grip conditions. Obviously, the heat of Bahrain, 36 degrees, back to low grip conditions. Yeah, just a lot of the cars understeering in this session. Every time they try to turn, the front sliding across the track. This is when McLaren were really strong in this session because they've got that anti-dive, they've got that front end grip, they've got ability to keep the tire temperatures down, and they're the ones taking advantage of that super hot temperatures. When it cooled down a little bit in the evening, thankfully the cars got closer and we had a good session. A couple of callouts for me. I'm not going to go into like full results, top speeds, blah blah blah. Max was understeering a lot in turn 11. That's the increasing radius corner. And then he came in and made a change to the rear of the car. Now, I need you guys help on this one. What did Max change on the rear of the car? Why did he go after the rear instead of going after the front? And did he go back on that change in for qualifying? Now, at the end of the session, Carlos Sainz came over the radio and said, look, my engine braking is not working as it should. And it was interesting to hear Karun Chandhok's comments on engine braking. He said that the engine braking importance is to provide support to the rear. That's not my understanding of engine braking. Engine braking has two jobs. Number one, to supplement and complement the braking potential of the car when you don't have full brake pedal capacity, first instance. And second instance, it can be used as a rotation tool as well. The more you downshift, the more rotation you're going to get. So to provide support to the rear, I think is incorrect. And yeah, let me just explain how that works. So when you've got full braking capacity from the car, like the steering wheel is straight, high downforce condition is available, straight line braking, sticky tires, soft tires, for example, dry weather conditions, plenty of grip. Okay, bang, you can go after the brake pedal and you don't necessarily have to click the gears down so fast, like pull back with the RPM. But in the instance that you don't have full braking capacity and braking potential, like it's cold, it's wet, the steering wheel is turned, it's low grip, hard compound tire, a little bit of crosswind, heavy fuel, blah, blah, blah. When you can only push the brake pedal a little bit, that's when you want to supplement and make up for it with engine braking. Now, the only downside to that is that it swallows fuel. So you're going to have to start the race with more fuel, and it acts at the rear of the car as well. So it's going to potentially lock the rear axle if you go after it too much. And that's why it's a rotation tool as well, because obviously it can help you rotate the car if you're struggling in, say, understeer in turn 9 and 10. Kimi Antonelli's crash in Monza, I thought, was a symptom of engine braking because everything looked perfect to me. He was on the right line, braking was perfect. The way he turned in was perfect as well. Everything looked great, but he was just going after the gears a little bit too heavily. Have a look on my shorts section in my YouTube shorts as to why I think the engine braking contributed to that crash, Kimi Antonelli's crash in the parabolic in Monza. But look, it's interesting to hear that from Karun say that it provides support to the rear. It doesn't do that at all. If you guys have followed me on TikTok and Instagram as well, I get a lot of comments saying, oh, what do you know? How many Formula One World Championships have you won? And that sort of thing. Well, look, I think this is a good example of someone who has driven a Formula One car, either not understanding the concept well or not explaining it well either. That's all you need to be able to do as a coach. You need to be able to understand concepts and explain them well, cause and effect, and help people. If you can do that, I think you're all good. But anyway, there you go. Now, just before we head into qualifying, I do want to give you guys a little bit of context on Lando Norris's mindset. A couple of things have been happening heading into this weekend, which I think is not the way to go. Firstly, after practice yesterday, just following on from FP2, they asked him, "How was your session? How was your day? How was the car?" He was like, "It was horrendous." And I'm thinking, hang on, is horrendous the right word to use to describe a day like where you finish first or second in the quickest machine? I don't think horrendous is the right way to go. Remember, the things you believe are the things you say, and the things you speak into existence, you're going to naturally, subconsciously take you down that path. Like if you look in the mirror and say you're the best, believe you're the best, try to be the best, then there's a better chance you will become the best, right? This is basic sports psychology. Lando saying it was horrendous is very glass half full. The other thing I don't agree with was when Max came out and said, if I was in the McLaren last week in Suzuka, I would have disappeared onto the distance. You guys would not have seen me. And Lando said, well, he's got a lot of strengths, but he's got weaknesses as well, something like that. And then he also went on to say that, like, if Max was in our car, I'd be shocked to see the disappointment on our face. I'm like, Lando, you've got the best car. You've got plenty of talent. You are fighting for a world championship. You need to admit that and face that head on. It's not going to be good enough for you to shy away from these things. Say it was horrendous in practice, and yeah, it's the best car, but it's really hard to drive sometimes. And yeah, I don't want to talk about the championship. He's very much shying away from the battle that is a Formula One World Championship. So I say all that to say I'm not sure how Lando's would be coming into this qualifying session, and it doesn't surprise me that he's down there in P6, P7. After some of the things he's been saying, he's been glass half full. Oscar came out after FP2 and said, "Good day, happy, car's good, car's quick, as good as a Friday can be." Do you know what I mean? I'm looking for that from Lando. He's going to need to address that. Nico Rosberg spoke about this and said that, Lando might need some help in this area and offered help, I believe. Um, and I guess the other thing I wanted to say was, like I said in the preview, Lando, I feel like is in the center of the pressure. Pressure coming from the left in Max Verstappen, just not only applying pressure by his driving, but his words as well. Now there's pressure from Oscar as well, who's being delivered. So I think I was spot on in that one. But yeah, I wanted to just call that out at this point heading into qualifying. Okay, so Q1 results, hopefully you can see them on the screen in front of you. The biggest name out here was, I guess, Alex Albon and Ollie Behrman. Albon was complaining about front tire temperature, not getting them into the right window. James Vowles, yeah, said pretty much exactly the same thing. In this session, we had lap time deletions for Max Verstappen and Yuki Tsunoda. Both of them, I think, did a really good job under pressure in their final run to get through in the end. I think that was noteworthy in Q1. It could have easily been out of the qualifying session at this point. Strange to see Behrman out after he's been doing a really good job thus far. And Lawson was complaining of a DRS issue. So we'll have a look at that in the telemetry and see how much time he lost in this DRS issue. But yeah, Bortoleto out. Good job by Hulkenberg, like I say, to get through. That was a good effort in the stake car. And that's also a really solid job by the guys like Hadjar, Carlos Sainz, and Esteban Ocon, Fernando Alonso. All those guys here in this area did a really good job to get through into Q2. Let's have a look now at Liam Lawson and see how much time he lost due to this DRS issue and if it would have put him into Q2. Okay, so we're looking for a DRS issue of some kind. Here is a big speed difference. You guys can see that hopefully. I will zoom in just a second. Not so much down the pitch straight, 317 versus 320. I don't think that's DRS not working. So it really only happened here. And he's seems to have found some time on the way in, but then got caned on the exit anyway. So I think it's from there to there where he's lost time. I think he has lost 2.7. I'm just looking at the delta here, guys. 2.7 tenths before braking. And I just want to see when that kind of, yeah, from neutral. So he has lost about 2.7 tenths down this straight. Where is this? Is this the back straight after turn 10? Yes, it is. So he lost about 2.7 tenths. Okay, so now that we know that, let's have a look where that would have put him. All right, so you can see the results here. Liam Lawson, 32-1. Yeah, he would have made it through at least. So look, I don't think he would have been up there with where was he? Hadjar. He wouldn't have been up there with Hadjar, who was only 4/10 off the fastest. Liam 1 second off the fastest, but I think it would have got him in with kind of Hulkenberg, Sonoda area. So yes, I think he would have got into Q2, but no more than that. Okay, let's talk about Q2. I've been seeing and talking about lines in turn 9 and 10. We jumped on board with Yuki Tsunoda just before Ollie Behrman's crash. Tsunoda, beautiful line through turns 9 and 10, taking the wider line that I spoke about. I've still got my notes on my screen, which I can show you. So we spoke about this yesterday. I think, Tsunoda taking the green line, which was beautiful, really exaggerating that green line, the wider line, giving you straighter braking as well, and allowing you to carry speed through turn 10. It was honestly up there with some of the best I've seen from Tsunoda through there. So kudos to him for that good line through 9 and 10. Okay, let's talk about Esteban Ocon's crash now as well. So I'm a little bit split on it. Unlucky on one hand, but also Nico Hulkenberg had the same sort of thing happen to him as well, and he didn't manage to crash as well. I'm going to just talk you guys through that and give you guys a little bit of context. So what happens? You're turning through, let's go back to our track map. So you're turning through turn 2. That's the problem. You're still trying to build speed, build downforce, and get the steering wheel straight through turn 2. So oversteer moments through turn 2 is what happened. Now Esteban Ocon has corrected for it, but then he's got on the curb, and then as he's still turning left through that curb, that's when it happened. So he's actually corrected the slide. What happened is he's kept his foot in it after he's made the correction to the slide. Let me share with you the video so that you guys will be able to see it and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, you guys can see it on the screen in front of you. So have a look at this, right? It comes through turn 2. Now I'm just going to pause it. Okay, so we'll look for the snap of steering. Not yet. Bang, there it is. So there's a snap of steering, which means he gets on this curb out here. Now, what you need to do at this point, get your foot out of the throttle. Like you can't, you're offline, you've made a mistake. You need to just get your foot out, like abandon the lap or whatever. Like it has to be like that. I'm not sure if he was massively under pressure. I mean, this was first run, was it probably in Q2? So this is where he's got wrong. So now he's turning and still with the throttle on. That's when he's lost the car. They actually lost it twice. First time he caught it. Second time he wasn't aware. Here's Nico Hulkenberg with the exact same thing. So steering left, gets the oversteer moment there, bang, finds himself on the curb, and then look, this is where he's got out of the throttle and he's been able to correct it again. There's still more opposite lock going on. There's two saves here that Nico's done, which I wanted to show you guys. So I hope that makes sense. He saved it in the first instance, but then when he found himself offline and on the curb, he keeps his foot in it. That's a no-no. That's the one that meant he ended up in the wall and his session was over. I want to talk to you guys about a beautiful piece of driving from Max Verstappen. You won't be surprised to know. Let's bring it up on the whiteboard. And just as he got into turn 1, Max realized that the brakes weren't working as he should have. And what he did crucially was not combine the steering because he knew he was going to run deep. So if I just draw for you guys how turn 1 looks, something like that. So Max was braking in here and realized like, oh, I'm going to overshoot the corner. It was probably at this point that he realized he was going to overshoot the corner. And what he didn't do crucially was add steering lock, because what that would have done is definitely unload the inside front tire and lock it up. So what he did was just keep braking straight and get the speed off a little bit. And then he added the steering lock in later. So he actually managed to save that corner and stay alive in that situation. Remember, we just spoke about Ocon and what he could have done to stay alive as well. Max managed to not put the lock in, realizing once he's broken too late or that he was going to go deep. He just keeps going with the braking, keeps going with the downshifting, and then puts the steering lock in later. So really separating those two elements to avoid the lockup. That's got him through into Q3. So I'm not sure if you guys saw that, but I mean, it's going to take an experienced eye to see something like that. All you would have seen is Max run a little bit deep, perhaps at turn 1. But what I'm calling out to you is that awareness to not add the steering lock, not lock up the right front tire, not ruin the lap and get into Q3. That's something that not many people would have seen. I hope that's a value add for you guys here. But a call out of like awareness, he's so sharp, Max. That was a great piece of tactical driving by Max. Again, Max and Yuki had to deliver under pressure in this one. They only had one run towards the end. For some reason, Max and Hadjar were on good laps in first runs and pitted. I'm not sure why they would have pitted. I think they had enough time to come over the line, get their banker in, and then go again with a fresh set. If you guys know why those two pitted and put themselves under pressure for their final run, please let me know in the comments. Okay, so the Q2 results on front of your screen here. Gasly really surprising in this session. He got the purple sector, 30.6, like a tenth off the McLarens. He got the purple sector here with a 38.8, so that's definitely noteworthy. And like I said in the introduction about it being a really complicated session about how to manage the tires, get them in the right window, whether they're good for the start of the lap and the middle of the lap, the end of the lap, finding that balance. And George Russell's been great at this. We have to call him out at this point because he's been very aware about the tires. I think he's putting a lot of focus and a lot of attention on the tires. Even in Suzuka, Mercedes came out and said we didn't follow George's advice on how to prepare the tires and we got wrecked for that. So yeah, I just want to call out George, who's not only aware of it, but he's studying that as well. And Pierre seems like he's just stumbled across it. I'm not sure. I shouldn't say that. He's done a good job to get the tires into the window as well. And he's done an amazing job in this Q2 session. Noteworthy. So who got kicked out? Doohan, Hadjar, Hulkenberg, Alonso, and Ocon. Doohan obviously not finding that sort of performance as compared to Gasly. Hadjar, I think that's the best that car could have done, to be honest. So a good job by him. Another good job by Hulkenberg as well. That's really good. P13 in that car. Like we saw the swap, like the oversteer moment that happened in turn 2. And obviously his teammate was out in Q1. So that's a good job by Nico Hulkenberg, P13. He should be very happy and pleased with himself for that. I'm not going to give you guys a telemetry for Q2 just so we can jump on to Q3 and have a look at a little bit of telemetry there. So let's bring up the Q3 results. All right, here are the Q3 results. So it's Oscar Piastri on pole, a beautiful lap and ability to extract the performance from that car was noteworthy. Oscar seems to be just chipping away slowly at this championship. Yes, he made a mistake in Melbourne. Both the McLaren drivers made the same mistake. I called it at that time like, it was really unlucky. And I hate using that word. It makes me sick to say that it was unlucky. But, he was the first car through. They both went off. He was on the harder compound. Like it was just one of those things. But he hasn't gotten down about it. He was there in China. He was there in Japan. He's there now. He just seems to be like showing a bit of consistency as well. Similar to Hadjar. Yeah, the mistake in Melbourne, but then good results and good job after that. So good job by Oscar Piastri. I did call out to you guys in the preview, the Mercedes are going to be up there. Why? Because they've got the top speed card. And as I say that and look across at the top speeds, what the hell happened to their top speed? 318 for George Russell and 327 for Leclerc. Okay, so they've obviously changed something overnight. Anyway, Mercedes, as we've been checking the top speeds throughout this year, have been holding good, healthy top speeds. So I'm not sure what happened to their top speed in qualifying. If they've put a little bit of wing on, maybe it looks like it. And where that top speed has come from for Leclerc and Hamilton showing healthy top speed as well. Ferrari have potentially made a change and gone for more performance, more straight line speed. Well, good on them if they're trying to do that because it has been a qualifying championship so far. That is Lando Norris pole and win in Melbourne, Oscar Piastri pole and win in China, Max Verstappen pole and win in Suzuka. So yeah, go after the qualifying, guys. Good job by Ferrari trying to trim off a little bit of downforce and get a bit higher up the grid. Why not? I don't know where the top speed card for Mercedes has gone. Anyway, they're holding two important cards this week, and it was top speed and it was traction as well. Remember, we saw like turn 1 and 2, a lot of traction issues through there. There's traction issues through turn 4. There is traction issues out of 10, out of 8. So increasing radius corner has traction issues. So they've obviously got some good traction as well in this Mercedes, helping them through the first sector. And he's just been able to hold on to that in the other two sectors. We jumped on board with Kimi Antonelli, and I have to say to you guys now, it was like, well, I jumped on board for the whole lap, his whole Q3 lap. It looked perfect. Like it looked great. I can only say that the 2 tenths between those two was the entire warm up, perhaps, or something else that George has just done an amazing job to find 2 tenths on what I consider to be a perfect lap by Kimi Antonelli in Q3. I looked at it and I didn't see anything wrong with it. He was on the switches, he was on the right lines, it was aggressive. The tires didn't go away towards the end of the lap. So, big call out to Kimi Antonelli for, in my opinion, a perfect lap from what I could see on the onboards. And like I say, I have to call out Leclerc as well for dragging that Ferrari up there to get into the top three. That's a good job. Another good job by Gasly again in this session. So underlining and highlighting that pace. And here's where the problems are. Lando Norris P6. Again, guys, I can't help but feel he's under pressure, firstly, and he's putting himself under more pressure with some of the things he says. So I think he will need to chop that out of his game if he's going to go on and compete for this world championship, because it's going to be one of mental warfare as much as it's going to be technical, tactical, and physical warfare as well. Max Verstappen here, look, he's been struggling all session and all weekend with this Red Bull, mainly with understeer. So, like I said, I'm not sure why he went after the rear and did some sort of rear torsion bar or roll bar change in FP3. I would have done something with the front personally, but look, who am I to criticize Max's setup choices and setup decisions? He's got a great god tier level of understanding of these cars. Color signs, good job. Finally getting on top of Alex Albon. Been waiting for this to feel comfortable. He's obviously comfortable here. He's done a lot of laps here. He was quick in testing here. So this is good that he's able to show and extract the performance from the Williams. Hamilton, probably the biggest disappointment. That is relative to Leclerc. That's a smashing. That's 6 tenths. And Sonoda, I thought, did a good job to get, into Q3, I guess. But now that I look at the numbers, 1.4 seconds off compared to Verstappen's half a second off is a smashing as well. So Hamilton and Sonoda will have some work to do. Let's browse the telemetry. Who do we want to be browsing at this point? Maybe Piastri Norris would be interesting for me. So let's jump over and have a look at that. All right, so we'll grab Piastri, we'll grab Norris. I saw Norris had a slide out of turn one. I don't think that cost him everything. So let's have a look. All right, here we go. So whenever the delta goes up, that's in Piastri's favor. Yes, it did go up straight away out of turn one. He lost about a tenth of a second at turn one just on traction, trying to get out of that corner. But then yeah, let's find some time here. Is this breaking into 8? Yeah, it's breaking into 8. He found a bit of time on entry, but then Oscar returned it on exit. But I think Oscar's just finding time, like he's just more comfortable, I think, with the front of this car. He's found a bit of time in 9 and 10. He's found a bit of time in the increasing radius 11. Found a bit of time in the decreasing radius 13. He's just found time all the way through. So he's much more comfortable with this McLaren. Turn 11 would be the most interesting one for me because that's an increasing radius corner. And it's just, I guess it's just got to do with the front. Okay, they were neutral through there. So actually, there you go. He's finding time under braking. So this is my insight to you guys. Because turn 11 is an increasing radius corner, it's not necessarily about the braking. It's more about the traction, in which Lando was fine. But if you look here on the entry, and I'm just going to zoom in for you guys so you can see that, Piastri found time under braking here. And by time, like I'm not talking about much. But what I'm trying to highlight to you guys is it looks like it's under braking. You see the under braking into the decreasing radius 13. You see that he's done a better job braking and managing the car to get better entry and exit into 9 and 10 as well. So that's where I think Piastri is just more comfortable just under braking, setting up the corner in the first instance. Remember, 3 phases of the corner: braking, turning / rolling, and then obviously traction and accelerating. I think Oscar's just positioning the car better in the first phase, in the braking phase. That's where I think the lap time's being won and lost. All right, so looking ahead, this is really, 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 really important at this stage. Why? Because we had Piastri and Russell 1 and 2 in China as well. George did an amazing job in qualifying there as well to understand the tires and get them in the right window. But I was disappointed with what I saw in terms of defense from Oscar Piastri. Let me highlight to you the problem in China, and I'll be looking out to see if this was is going to be a problem as well. So here's what happened in China. We had Oscar Piastri here, and we had George Russell over here in P2. Yes, Oscar did shoot across here, but he didn't line his car up in that direction. So what Oscar did was line his car up straight and then realize, oh, I need to get to the inside. So he made a move like that. That's not the move that I'm looking for. The move is to line your car up slightly across. We spoke about this in the preview, how well Max did this. He needs to line his car up and shoot across and compete for this space, such that he forces George Russell around the outside if he does get into that space. Now, why this is really important is because in the Chinese Grand Prix, George actually got alongside here because Oscar lined up straight in the box, but because turn one was very tight and George couldn't enter, it's a fast corner and George got tightened up a little bit with Oscar's second move here. Then George couldn't carry the speed into turn one. He actually had to back out of that. And like I said in that race analysis, if this was a tight braking zone like a hairpin, and George managed to sneak up the inside just the same way as he did in China, that would have been an overtake and George would have outbroken Oscar into turn one. So Oscar's going to need to amend for that, guys. Like we always say, it's not good enough to go straight and then if P2 gets a slightly better launch, then to come across later. I don't think that's in your best interest, Oscar Piastri. What you need to do is line your car up already with a preset slightly pointing across, so that when you do go straight, all you have to do is continue to go straight and you're naturally going to find this piece of track that you're competing for. Like you guys know, I like to trade your pole position for the inside, which I think is more valuable. You can control and manage the corner a lot better from the inside, even if you're not in front of the car that is on your outside. You can still control and manage the corner a lot better from the inside. So I'd be willing to sacrifice even a little bit of speed to claim and take the inside as quickly as possible. That's what I'm looking out for down into turn one, because we had this same movie sequel in China as well, and Oscar just about got away with it. It's going to be very important who can get into the lead into turn one. So I hope you guys can keep an eye out for that as well. Thanks for watching, guys. Like I say, it's very late/early. It's 2 a.m. here. Please do leave me a comment. Everything helps the channel. Give the video a thumbs up as well. And subscribe to this channel if you haven't already for more racing analysis from the driver's point of view moving forward. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.